Welcome back to the channel. Today's discussions take a dramatic turn on the global stage, where renowned Pan-African and scholar Professor P.L.O. Lumumba has once again shaken the international political arena with a fiery revelation. This time it's about the United States' alleged strategic move under Donald Trump to target Nigeria and Venezuela in a new wave of oil and power politics. According to Pierre Lumumba, what's unfolding is not just about crude oil, it's about geopolitical dominance, energy control, and the rebirth of neo-imperial influence in Africa and Latin America. As he connects the dots between Washington, Abuja, and Caracas, Lumumba paints a picture of global power games that could redefine the next decade. So, guys, stay tuned because in this exclusive breakdown, we unpack the hidden motives, the global consequences, and what this means for the future of African sovereignty and South American resistance. So, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe because what you are about to hear from P.L.O. Lumumba is nothing short of explosive. I want to make a disclaimer and say that I am not the original creator of this video and therefore credit goes to the Alpha House for this creation. Guys, let's watch video
The
and then
situation
we'll
in
come back with a
Nigeria
deep
must be
commentary.
understood from a historical context. And that history gives you a Nigeria which, when the North and the South came together, there was what could be described as the Muslim North, and for want of a better term, the Christian South, or largely Christian South. But remember, there are also other African religions, but that is the preferred definition. With the consequence that Nigeria has always had tension of one kind or another, the tension that led to the civil war in Biafra, which was not founded on Christianity at all, and of course the many coups d'etats that saw at that time in the 1960 of the killing of people like Ahmadu Bello from the north, and the imposition of the military administration. But to come to more recent history, is that there are elements within Nigeria in the north, and this came to the fore in the year 2009 with the formation of what is now popularly known as Boko Haram by Yusuf Mahmoud. When Yusuf Mahmoud formed Boko Haram at that time, there were a number of things that were defining the philosophy. And remember that the version of Islam that he propagated is Salafism. And Salafism is a sect of Sunni Muslim. And their argument was that they want to restore Nigeria to the original Islam as was practiced by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. When that happened in 2009, of course, Muhammad Yusuf was arrested. And when he was arrested and he died in jail, he became a martyr. And that changed the complexion of Boko Haram, which means Western education is bad, if you were to render it in simplistic terms. And the whole idea, and this is what they were selling at that time, what is the value of this education where you get education, but there are no jobs, there are no opportunities, and that appealed to very many young people in northern Nigeria. And that is why it is characterized as Muslims rising against Christians. When Mahmoud Yusuf died in prison and Abu Bakr Shekau then became the leader of Boko Haram, there were then quite a number of splits within the Boko Haram that we knew, with allegiance being declared to Al-Qaeda in Iraq and in Syria. Meanwhile, activities then heightened and they started killing persons because of their religious affiliation. But it must also be remembered that even Muslims were killed in the process. But the declaration was that we want to Islamize not only the northern part of Nigeria, but the entire Nigeria and introduce Sharia law. But these activities were not confined to Nigeria. It was along the Chad basin, so that Chad was affected, Niger was affected, and even Cameroon was affected. But of course, the theater of action is Nigeria. The consequence of that now has been that they have engaged in activities which have led to the death of many. You remember the bombing of the UN offices in Abuja, which led to the death of 23 people. You remember the Chibok girls when they raided schools and picked the Chibok girls, some of whom are still in custody. And when, of course, Shekau himself died or is said to have committed suicide because there were splits within Boko Haram, we now have a situation where we have an organization which has different factions. And these factions are operating sometimes at cross purposes, and Boko Haram has been declared as a terrorist organization. And the effect of Boko Haram has been therefore to antagonize Christians. And we know that Christian clergy have been targeted. We know that churches have been targeted, and you've now created an environment that depicts these particular activities as targeting Christians. And indeed, there are Christians who have now come out and say that we are going to organize ourselves in order to resist this. But that must be contradistinguished with certain sober voices within Islam in Nigeria who say that this is a terrorist organization, should be seen as such, and we should therefore not condemn the entire Islam. But as the saying goes, bad news spreads faster than good news. So what do we have in the popular media? Muslims or Muslim organizations are killing Christians. What is the reaction from different people? Let us resist them. Let us resist what has been described in different quarters as the Arabization and Islamization of Africa. And this is the context in which we now find Nigeria being a point of reference from no lesser space than the United States of America. The United States of America, through the President Donald Trump, is saying, if Nigeria cannot protect Christians, we are going to move in viciously, and we are going to do so to protect Christians. And I think Trump is being advised that the Nigerian government is working softly on this issue because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a Muslim, because Vice President Shetima is also a Muslim, and that if it were different, they would behave differently. But from where I sit, that is not necessarily the case. And these are individuals who are known to me. My own view is that you are dealing with an organization which is out of control, which is engaged in unconventional warfare, and it's not going to be easy to defeat them because they are not your regular army wearing army uniform. They are not arranged and organized in battalions and brigades. They could be somebody who is walking in the street and propagating their agenda. They hit when you don't expect, and they hit what you don't expect. Even when you say you are going to bomb them, who are you going to bomb? Where? In which location are they crowded that you'll bomb them and finish them? These are the questions must be called into question. And you can see and hear the reaction of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and by extension the Nigerian government. They reacted by saying they welcome the United States of America to help them fight Boko Haram. That is the situation as it is. What is happening diplomatically, we may not know. But you've seen a world where there is a new hegemon who believes they are going to fight for Christianity anywhere and everywhere. That is the situation as it is now. You know, when we talk about Nigeria and we talk about the pronouncement of President Trump, many things come to mind. Number one, why is Trump saying what he's saying? Is he saying it for Christian domestic consumption? Is he the latter-day defender of Christianity? And what I'm saying is a matter of speculation, and I think he's addressing many audiences. Remember, he rode on the crest of evangelical Christians to become the president for what is now called Trump 2. And he's telling them, in this day and age, when Christianity is on the decline and Islam is on the ascendance, I am the leader of what can be described as Christianity. And when Christianity is addressed anywhere in the world or is threatened anywhere in the world, I'll be that leader in the world who will come out and defend Christianity. That is to the American audience. To the Nigerian audience, he's also saying, oh, you cannot be protected by your administration. I'm the leader of the free world. This free world, which was created by Christendom, is under threat. And I am that leader who knows no boundaries. I'm that leader who is going to be your latter-day savior. I'm that leader who is going to come and do what is necessary in order to protect you. I am the peacemaker. Remember that President Trump is on record as saying that he's the one who deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm God's gift to the world. I run around the world and do only one thing, make peace. You saw me making it in Gaza. You see me trying to make it in Ukraine. You see me everywhere. You see making peace between Thailand and Cambodia. I am that person, but I am doing it because of a Christian ethic. That is my...
So guys, according to Lumumba, history is repeating itself. Only this time, the stakes are far higher. The professor suggests that Trump's renewed interest in energy dominance goes beyond Americans' economic need. It's about restoring USA control over world's most vital sources, and that is oil and its pursuit for Nigeria and Venezuela represent two battlegrounds, one in Africa and one in Latin America, where guys each carry the potential to reshape global energy markets. In Nigeria, the situation is particularly sensitive. Lumumba points out that the country remains Africa's largest oil producer, yet still grapples with poverty, corruption, and political instability. And these weaknesses he wants make Nigeria vulnerable to external manipulation under the guise of partnership. As Western powers push for influence in the Gulf of Guinea, and Lumumba insists that what looks like economic cooperation could actually be a reassertion of control over African natural resources. In Trump's policies, he rhetorically emphasizes that emphasizing America first could easily translate into renewed economic pressure oil-centered diplomacy that leaves African nations on the losing end. And turning guys to Venezuela, the Professor P.L.O. Lumumba draws a sharp comparison. He describes the South American nation as a symbol of resistance, a country that has defied U.S. sanctions and interventions for years. And under Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela's oil wealth became both its strength and its curse. And Lumumba argues that a second Trump era would likely revisit old strategies and undermining what the government left, enforcing sanctions and backing opposition's movement, and all in the name of restoring democracy, but ultimately serving the interest of USA oil corporations. And guys, he further explains that the struggle for oil isn't just about fuel, it's about leverage, the ability to dictate global prices, control supply chains, and weaken emerging powers like China and Russia, who have deep economic ties with both Nigeria and Venezuela. And guys, at this point, I also would like to mention that China has also alleged its support of Nigeria in case Trump suggests or goes on with his mission to do what he's saying is trying to help the Christians from the Boko Haram. And guys, now Lumumba doesn't stop at the criticism. He challenges African and Latin American leaders to wake up to the reality of modern imperialism and neo-colonialism, not through guns and flags, but through trade agreements, debt dependency, and energy exploitation. He calls for continental unity, technological investment, and strategic resource management, urging nations like Nigeria to refine their own oil, invest in renewable energy, and create value internally rather than exporting raw wells to the global north. And guys, so as we come to the end of this commentary, let me know what are your thoughts about Professor P.L.O. Lumumba's great revelations on this Trump and US government's diplomacy in Nigeria and Venezuela. See you guys in my next one.